High school is often said to be a pivotal moment of time. Your childhood is ending, but you're not yet an adult. The media has made high school synonymous with coming of age and growing up. So, I sat down with 4 Lightridge students to hear their opinions about high school. Tiffany, a senior, Allison, a freshman, Lojane, a senior, and Guhan, a freshman. Okay, what's one thing that you thought about high school that turned out not to be true?
I thought the upperclassmen were going to be really rude to us, and like the sophomores.
I would say freshman year you go in and I feel like there's a lot of drama, and in my opinion I think part of it comes with the fact that your classes get a lot harder when you get older and you start to mature and realize that it's really not that deep. And I feel like past freshman year you notice that there's not as much drama and people start to like chill out because you learn that you need to forgive and forget and move on, otherwise you're just going to keep dwelling on things.
I really thought that having a car would be like the best thing ever, and it's great. I like getting around. I like being able to do what I want. But the parking lot is a nightmare. Like, if you don't get out fast enough, you're going to be here until 5 o'clock. So I thought that if I had a car, I could just leave. Oh, I also thought I'd be able to leave campus for lunch, because I saw that all the time in movies and shows. We can't do that. We don't have enough time for that, even if I wanted to, and there's nothing around here. But I thought having a car would give me so much more freedom here, and it does give me freedom in general, but at school it's still pretty restricted.
Do you think any movie, song, or TV show captures the high school experience?
It's a really, I don't even know how to explain it, but like we all kind of like relate to is that one Hannah Montana song when like that everyone listens to like when we're graduating, and it just like makes me so sad.
No, it's like someone's getting shoved against the lockers or they're breaking out into song. Like a nerd with glasses, and the second they take the glasses off, they're all popular, and it's like, what?
Not a specific movie, but just any movie where the high school is kind of just on the side. You know? It's not if the high school is the main idea of the movie or show, it's usually not that accurate.
Do you think like the media played a role in how you expected high school to be?
I think there's a lot of like cliche movies out there, like, High School Musical, or like any other like drama TV shows. I feel like that strong sense of friendship is true, but at the same time, a lot of it's very dramatic. In my opinion, at least, there's not that much drama in real life.
No, not movie, because my sister is a junior at Champ. She goes, don't walk into high school thinking like you own the place, because you are the bottom. And I was like, okay. So I sort of came in just trying to keep my head down, do my work, and just meet as many new people as I could.
A lot of people thought it was going to be very similar to High School Musical. They thought there's going to be a lot of bullying as well, which I'm very happy that there's not that much that I'm seeing. It feels like I feel very safe and protected in Lightridge.
Did you think it was going to be like a movie?
No.
No?
Because I have a brother who recently graduated from
okay.
college, so I had pretty good expectations of what high school would be like already.
I actually did my freshman year at Willard. I was the class that did not have a school, so they just kept us at Willard, and I didn't really get to see real life, like what high school is like. So like you said, movies and shows and things like that, I had kind of a sense coming in that everything would be more heightened than it is. Like, there would be very defined cliques and very defined groups, and there are certain things that you have to do and certain things that are a no-go. And I just didn't have that actual environment to see that most of those things, almost all of them, are not true and don't really happen.
Think that you've fallen into like any high school stereotype?
Not particularly. I mean, I'm kind of like, I guess I could be the kid that raises my hand too much in class, or like talks too much, but otherwise I don't think I'm in any like group.
Do you think your like peers think you're in a group?
I mean, I think they might associate me with certain friends, but not necessarily. There's like 2 of them. So I would say a group.
No. People call me nerdy, but I'm like, okay, just because I want to get my work done doesn't really make me nerdy. I don't know, I'm friends with everyone, like every little clique, I guess you'd call it.
Occasionally I do get called, like, not a nerd, because it's kind of more a respective tone, because people need my help a lot, and it's really fun to help people.
I think I was always seen as like the girl that did it all. I was like a cheerleader and in student council for years, and I think people kind of took that as like well, she obviously has her life together, why would I bother checking up on her? And so if there's anything I could say today, I would say it's really important to check up on all your friends, especially the ones that seem like they're holding on to things really well.
Why do you think high school stereotypes exist?
Because they're common. People just sometimes say the correct things often.
Oh, I think it all boils down to like the books and the movies and the TV shows that you watch as a kid, and then it just kind of manifests into how people look at each other in real life.
Do you think that this new wave of like uncensored TV shows and media surrounding high school life, so like streaming platforms like Netflix and HBO Max and shows like Euphoria and like Never Have I Ever, do you think that allows for students to be seen in a different light and for like more accurate representation, or do you think it's just as bad?
I'm gonna be honest, I don't really watch TV. I will say, I can't imagine how accurate it can get when you do have like 20-something-year-olds acting as teenagers. That's just my opinion, I guess.
In some aspects, because they throw in like our phones now. There were phones back then. Yeah. Now like we can't go anywhere without our phones. Like even if we're not on our phones, it's a comfort thing to just have it. Like because you feel like you're missing out if you don't have your phone. So I feel like they show that more in school or in shows now about high school than they did then. But also I feel like it's a lot more fantasy in the shows than it was in like Gilmore Girls.
I think maybe as I've grown, I've started to watch shows that are just naturally a little bit more representative, where it's because when you're a kid watching High School Musical, high school's like a fantasy, and you're like, I'm gonna be the older kid, I'm gonna have my car, I'm gonna do all these things. But when you actually get older, I feel like you start to just gravitate to things that are more realistic and more natural. So I think you'll still see like it's a very kind of rigid structure as before, but you're able to recognize that like this never happens.
Are you familiar with the quote, "We're all in this together"?
Yes.
Do you think that captures the experience of like in the culture at Lightridge?
I think so too. At least in student council we've talked about this, like my grade, like the class of 2023, we're not a very cliquey group. I feel like everyone's friend groups just kind of overlap with each other, and I feel like we've been through a lot as a grade.
Yeah, I think it does. I think it's pretty accurate.
Yeah, like everyone is there for each other. Like the upperclassmen, I know if I need help with something, I can go to my upperclassmen friends and they'll help me and everything. So that's nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Lightridge prides itself on being very inclusive, and I think that it is very, very easy here to be involved in so many things, and all of those things get equal support. Like the Lightridge Instagram posts 87 stories a day because it's highlighting everything that students have done, and I just think it's a really good environment where we are all in this together, even though I hate to say it.
Do you participate in school events, and how would you rate your school spirit?
I would rate my school spirit a 10 out of 10. I mean, like it's kind of funny because I do student council. It's like I plan and I help execute all these events and like things like spirit weeks. And then on like the cheerleading side of it, like I kind of bring it to my team and I'm like, okay, here's what we're doing. Maybe the information's a little earlier than when everyone else hears it, but yeah, it's kind of funny. I get to see it from both sides.
That's amazing. Do you participate in school events?
Yeah.
How would you like rank your school spirit?
a 5. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I really don't. Like, for the costumes, I was like, oh, I don't want to dress up and come to school because I'm just going to be uncomfortable all day.
My school spirit?
Yeah.
So far, it's been not the highest because I haven't had the time to attend most of the football games, but I have been able to attend like the big events like homecoming. So I think it's like out of 10, maybe like a 4.
Are you familiar with like the romanticizing your homework aesthetic on social media?
Yeah.
Are
like,
you
the notes and everything.
Are you a fan of it, or do you think it just like makes people have this idea of like grind culture, or like what you need to do in high school to succeed?
I like looking at it. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, well, her notes look a lot better than mine, so I'm going to spend more time on how the notes look than the information that they have. Like, I know I've fallen into that a little bit.
I hate it so much. I don't know how people find the time to do that while they're doing their notes. I have disgusting handwriting. So it's, yeah, I don't like it.
I can appreciate if someone puts that much effort into their notes and puts that much effort into making their desk organized and having everything all pretty. Personally, I just want to get it done. I don't read it later. I don't care if it's a bit messy or if it's like 4 different colored highlighters because one ran out of ink. I just want to get it done. So if you can put in the effort and the time to make everything that pretty, good for you, because I have too much work for that.
I don't really know. I strongly believe that it doesn't really matter how you take notes as long as it works for you. Some people can take notes entirely in pencil or entirely typed, and it's perfectly fine for them. I take them and they look all pretty and people talk about it all the time. I have like 2 sets of highlighters, it looks all pretty, but that's because it works for me because I need to have color. But I do agree that, like, especially with the rise of like social media, people think that your notes and everything you do, your agendas, they need to look a certain way in order to be successful, and that's entirely not true.
Do you think you curate your high school experience in order to fit into like the social media standard, so like prom, homecoming? Do you think you like curate it?
I don't really think so. I feel like I just naturally like those things. Yeah.
No. I didn't even go to homecoming this year.
Yeah, I do. I'm gonna post on like homecoming or for prom, but I'm not gonna post like, oh my god, I just got a C on my test. I think that's kind of natural almost, because most of the people I follow are students from this school and who follow me, and if it's not this school, then it's other high schools. So I think people almost get an understanding, like, yeah, you're gonna post if like you really liked your outfit at a football game, but you're not gonna necessarily post that you're struggling with like a math test.
I think a lot of high school events have become very prominent in social media. Most of the people who are actively doing stuff on social media will tend to hover around those things because they're only in high school, so not much else they can do.
If you could give your middle school self a piece of advice, what would it be?
Don't spend too much time worrying about the friendships that you've lost, because better ones are going to come.
Probably to get good study habits early. I think that's so important, and I should have, if I had better study habits going into middle school, I think I'd be in a really good place right now.
Do your work when you get it. Don't go home and sit on your phone for 2 hours and then say you're too tired to do your work. Because if you start as a freshman, you're going to keep doing it. Don't be a procrastinator. It's not fun to stay up until 3 and then have to get up at 8. I don't recommend. Just do your work when you get home. Take a break later.